slammed the FIA, calling them childish for handing Max Verstappen a penalty over his use of the word fuck. Meanwhile, Racing Bull's boss Laurent Mekies has admitted deep regret over the decision to drop Daniel Ricciardo from an F1 seat. At Ferrari, on the other hand, the title fight between Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc is already heating up, with Fred Vasseur issuing a bold and candid verdict on the brewing inter-team rivalry. Let's discuss, and stay tuned until the end. Jos Verstappen criticizes FIA over penalty for Max Verstappen. Yes, Jos Verstappen has voiced his strong opinions on how the FIA handled his son Max Verstappen's recent punishment, stemming from an expletive-laden comment during a Grand Prix weekend. Speaking candidly in an end-of-season interview, the former Formula One driver criticized the governing body's inconsistency and suggested significant reforms to improve fairness and professionalism in the sport. The controversy began during the Singapore Grand Prix when Max Verstappen, in a frustrated moment, described his Red Bull RB20 as fucked following a problematic setup change. The remark, made during a FIA press conference, earned him a community service punishment under the sport's new rules targeting broad misconduct. Verstappen served this penalty in Rwanda last week, a decision that raised eyebrows across the paddock. Adding fuel to the fire, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc faced a similar situation, using the same expletive in a later press conference but receiving only a monetary fine. This discrepancy became a focal point for Jos Verstappen's criticisms. Speaking to the media, Jos questioned why his son's punishment differed so starkly from Leclerc's. Why did Max get a community service penalty for the word fuck while someone else received only a fine? The stewards don't seem to remember all the details. I think there needs to be stricter rules in that area. Jos argued that the FIA's approach was overly reactionary and lacked nuance. You can't impose a penalty every time someone says fuck. Formula One is an emotional sport, and emotions run high. Instead of making such a spectacle out of it, I would have taken the drivers aside and said, "Guys, watch your language." He criticized the public nature of the penalties, suggesting that the FIA's actions reflected poorly on their leadership. To play it all out in the media like that, it's unnecessary. It just makes the sport look childish. Jos defended his son's choice of words, pointing out the cultural ubiquity of the expletive and its varied meanings. In many countries, it's not even considered offensive unless it's used to insult someone directly. The FIA needs to recognize the difference. By focusing on trivial matters, they're taking the raw emotion out of Formula One, which is part of what makes it so captivating. Max Verstappen, meanwhile, did not shy away from expressing his irritation with the punishment, highlighting a broader issue of inconsistency in the stewards' decisions. Beyond the language controversy, both Max and Jos Verstappen took aim at the stewards' decision-making, particularly towards the end of the 2024 season. The Mexico City Grand Prix proved a flashpoint, with former F1 driver Johnny Herbert serving as a steward for the race. Max incurred time penalties that he felt were unjust and questioned Herbert's impartiality, citing his active involvement in paddock discussions and interviews with betting platforms. Having stewards who are deeply connected to the politics of the paddock undermines their neutrality. For the future, it might be better to have stewards with fewer ties to the sport but who still understand its intricacies. Jos echoed this sentiment, calling for a professional overhaul of the stewarding system. There needs to be more consistency. The same infraction should always result in the same penalty, but that's not what we've seen this season. A permanent pool of stewards could bring about that consistency. Meanwhile, Laurent Mekies admits regret over Daniel Ricciardo's dismissal from Racing Bulls. Yes, Racing Bulls team principal Laurent Mekies has expressed deep regret over Daniel Ricciardo's dismissal from their B team during the 2024 Formula One season. Despite flashes of brilliance, Mekies acknowledged that the team had failed to consistently provide Ricciardo with the tools to thrive, ultimately leading to his untimely departure. After a challenging stint with McLaren, Ricciardo returned to the Red Bull family in 2023, taking a seat with the junior team Racing Bulls. The move was part of a broader ambition to climb back into the senior Red Bull racing lineup. However, while the 8-time Grand Prix winner showed glimpses of his former pace, a consistent resurgence proved elusive. Mekies reflected on Ricciardo's performances, pointing to standout races in Miami, Canada, and others as evidence of the Australian's enduring pace. The question we have been asked the most was, can Daniel still produce the ultimate speed we have seen? I think he has on a few occasions. He did produce that ultimate speed that took him to race wins in the past. However, Meki stressed that maintaining this level consistently across the season is the hallmark of success in Formula One, something neither Ricciardo nor the team managed to achieve together. For the team, as for the drivers, the biggest difficulty is not to be fast one day. It's to be fast in every race. Did we manage to keep Daniel in that sweet spot often enough? No, that's the reality. I raised my hand, and we raised our hands as a team because we have a big part to play in it. And this led to what happened. Despite the challenges on track, Ricciardo's contributions behind the scenes were pivotal. Meki's praised the veteran driver's technical feedback and race-winning experience, which played a crucial role in developing both the car and his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. There was a huge benefit for the team and for Yuki in terms of Daniel's technical feedback, direction of development, and race-winning approach. Having somebody that knows how it is in a team that wins races, that fights for championships, is setting the benchmark. That counts a lot in a time where you are trying to build a team and target better results. Tsunoda, who Meki said formed a productive relationship with Ricciardo, has absorbed much of the knowledge imparted by the Australian. As Tsunoda steps into a leadership role at Racing Bulls, Ricciardo's influence may yet leave a lasting legacy. Racing Bulls will enter the 2025 season with a reshaped driver lineup. Tsunoda will now lead the team, joined by 2024 Formula 2 runner-up Issaka Jar. Meanwhile, Ricciardo's mid-season replacement, Liam Lawson, has been promoted to Red Bull Racing to partner Max Verstappen following Sergio Perez's departure. Meanwhile, a seismic shift is underway at Ferrari. As seven-time world champion, Lewis Hamilton prepares to join Charles Leclerc in a star-studded driver lineup for the 2025 Formula One season. With Hamilton activating an exit clause to leave Mercedes, the Briton is set to embark on a new chapter at Maranello, replacing Carlos Sainz, whose contract Ferrari opted not to extend. The high-profile pairing of Hamilton and Leclerc raises questions about potential fireworks within the team, as both drivers have their sights firmly set on championship glory. While Hamilton aims to secure a record-breaking 8th World Championship, Leclerc is determined to prove he is the man to return Ferrari to the pinnacle of Formula One. Ferrari enters 2025 on the back of a strong 2024 campaign, finishing second in the constructors' standings and claiming 5 race wins, 3 for Leclerc and 2 for Sainz. Team principal Fred Vasseur has made it clear that the ultimate goal for the Scuderia is a title double next season. When asked about the prospect of managing a potentially heated rivalry between his two superstar drivers, Vasseur welcomed the challenge, emphasizing that intra-team competition could push Ferrari to new heights. Speaking to Sky F1, Vasseur dismissed concerns about managing a title feud, stating that such competition is a sign of progress. I prefer to fight for one, to then for 19, 20, this is clear. It's also part of the performance, clearly. The last 2 years I let them race on track, and it was for the benefit of the team, because the emulation that we created like this was part of the recovery when we had tough times. He highlighted the mutual respect shared by Ferrari's drivers, adding that it has been a key factor in the team's resurgence. They had huge respect between them, and we had a good moment this morning with the father of Carlos Sainz at Fiorano for his farewell. It was very nice. It's part of the performance of the team.